we are back with, you have a 100-page graphic novel of brand new Dreadstar for everybody. And it comes after you were hurt and you didn't think you were going to be able to draw again. So tell us about those challenges.
I blew a big hole in my hand between the thumb and the forefinger. About 4 years ago at this point. I figured that was the end of my drawing career. It was just, it hurt every time I spent 5 minutes trying to draw. So I became a writer and a full-time writer, and did those Thanos graphic novels with Alan Davis, which was a pleasure all into itself, working with Alan Davis.
Yeah, amazing looking books. Great books.
Yeah, I hate the guy. He draws so well. I just play.
Just makes you angry.
Oh yeah.
You're really lucky to, when you do take on the writer role, you've had amazing artists, backing up for a lot of your legendary work.
No, I had awesome. Bernie Wrightson, Ron Lim, a number of folks who are just terrific, along the way. Those are the major ones, but yeah, I've been pretty lucky on that regard. But then a lot of times don't want to draw or write anything until it's a good fit, and those guys it was, so it worked out really well on all three of them. They're my three favorites.
And
I'm 60 pages into the pencil and script, and Jaime is somewhere in the late teens. On the next one, which is going to be Dreadstar versus the Inevitable, where Dreadstar Returns is very much a book that came out of the pandemic. I mean, I had nothing to do but draw and remove deadwood from the 6 acres I was living on at the time. So it went along very quickly, but the story was in the works beforehand. Actually, as so much of a pandemic book, Jaime, who was the inker about in page 20, contracted COVID-19. Serious case, and nearly died from it. We were very lucky that she made it through.
I'm so glad she's okay.
Yeah, I mean, she still has some bad moments here and there, but she is recovering, and I'm still making her work like hell. So
yeah, correct.
The next book, yes, if she was here, she would be complaining about just that. But the next book is very much the pandemic book. It's about where Dreadstar Returns is an unrequited cosmic love story. The next book is about how you react to something you have no control over, which is what we've all had to do over the last year. I mean, we can approach the inevitable with denial or skepticism, or trying to do the best you can against it or survive it. But there are certain things we do not have any control over. And that's what I wanted to write a story about. And that'll be the next one. And there's at least 3 other after that are in the planning in different stages. I've got the 3rd one, which doesn't have a title yet. Very much structured off in my head, nothing down on paper. And because of what's happening in the next 2 books, there's got to be at least 2 more books after that to complete the story. So I'm going to be doing Dreadstar page books for the next 3.5 years, and trying to soak my readership out of a few more bucks before I'm done.
Well, you deserve it, sir. That is for sure. And yeah, when you went to draw, are you drawing on paper or did you switch to digital? That's probably a common question you get. Yeah.
Old school. Yeah. In fact, I never quite finished off your story about the hand. When I went along, I found I couldn't draw any longer than 5 minutes before the hand cramped up. And so I went through a number of years with squeezing the rubber ball and doing the other exercises that you have to do to get a hand back in order. And about 3 years afterwards, I was at a comic book convention where I was just signing Thanos books. And my convention appearance agent came over to me and said, there's this young woman who'd like you to, I mean, she's a friend of mine. She's really bugging me to ask you to give her a sketch of Dr. Doom. She's a big Dr. Doom fan.
Mm-hmm.
My first reaction was, you don't want Thanos? You want Dr. Doom?
Yeah, why are you asking me for Dr. Doom?
Yeah, go away. What am I going to have to do with it? But she was a persistent young lady. And she kept, and finally started meeting her at the conventions. And I said, one night I finally said, okay, the only way to get rid of her is to do the Dr. Doom sketch. And so one night after, in my hotel room after the con, I sat down, did the Dr. Doom sketch for her. And to my surprise, my hand didn't come out aching, which was probably because I had been working on the 1,500 pages of the Dreadstar Omnibus, digitizing the files. You know, we didn't have them back then in digital form. And I worked with a stylist to do things, and which is a lot different than working with pencil where you're pushing down pressure.
Yep.
But apparently it exercised my hand enough where I found I could draw again. No one more surprised than me about this. And so after that, I started doing the conventions, and at one of them I did like about 3 convention sketches of Thanos, I think it was. And I got there, and this young woman whose name is Jaime Jameson, who was working as an inker for Keith Giffen at the time, she didn't have anything to do with the convention because Keith suddenly didn't show up, unexpectedly didn't show up. So I said, well, why don't you ink these things? And we'll split, you know, split when you get done with Solomon, we'll split what have you. And she did it, and I thought, gee, this is really nice. You know, she does a nice job. She works over well on me. So when I finally decided to do Dreadstar, I approached her and said, I was like to eat this 100-page book of mine, and she very hesitantly agreed. And it was the biggest job she had. We had a lot of wailing and tears at the beginning. Apparently Joel Adams and Neil Adams helped her, telling her to just sit down and do it, you know, get down to it.
Right.
And then later on, we'd have little relapses of loss of confidence, and she'd call up and, you know, we were in the middle of the job, and she'd go, I just can't do it. You're gonna have to find somebody else to do this. It's just beyond me. And I go, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but can you get this next page to me by tomorrow so I can color it? Oh, by the way, I'm sending you 10 more pages tomorrow. And just ignored her, and it just worked out fine, you know. And she's going to be the inker on the next book also. Well, she is the inker on the next book.
Well,